This is the story of how a series of internal restructuring decisions and shifting regulatory landscapes fundamentally altered Bombardier's position in the global aerospace market. For decades, the Canadian firm represented a unique tier of industrial competition, balancing regional commercial aviation with a dominant presence in the business jet sector. This is what happened when a national champion decided to retreat from its most visible global stages to save its financial core. The quiet transition away from commercial rail and narrow-body jets toward a singular focus on high-end business aviation triggered a ripple effect across international trade relations that is only now being fully understood by market analysts and geopolitical observers. This shift was not merely a corporate downsizing, but a calculated retreat that forced global partners and competitors to reevaluate the company's long-term influence and its role as a strategic industrial player. The hidden mechanics of this transition are rooted in the complex debt restructuring and the eventual 2018 sale of the C-Series program to Airbus. By relinquishing a majority stake in its most advanced commercial project, which was later rebranded as the Airbus A2220, Bombardier effectively exited the high-stakes battle against Boeing. This move carried significant geopolitical weight, as the C-Series had been at the center of a major trade dispute involving the United States Department of Commerce, which had briefly threatened a nearly 300% tariff on the aircraft. While the partnership with Airbus saved the program from certain insolvency, it stripped Bombardier of its primary leverage in the commercial airline sector. This exit was finalized in February 2020 when Bombardier sold its remaining stake to Airbus and the government of Quebec for $591 million. The decision meant that a company once capable of challenging the global duopoly of Boeing and Airbus was now a specialized niche player. Internally, the company had to justify a future built entirely on the global and challenger business jet lines. These platforms operate under vastly different economic cycles than commercial transport, relying on the capital expenditures of ultra-high net worth individuals and large corporations rather than the fluctuating ticket prices of mass transit. By 2021, the strategic pivot deepened with the sale of Bombardier Transportation, its massive rail division, to Alstom for an enterprise value of approximately $8.2 billion. This was the final blow to the old Bombardier identity. The rail division had provided the company with a massive logistical and governmental footprint in over 60 countries, often serving as the diplomatic foot in the door for aerospace negotiations. Without the rail business, Bombardier lost the ability to offer comprehensive infrastructure packages to developing nations, a loss that fundamentally shifted its international sales outlook toward a more singular, luxury-focused strategy. The research confirms that this narrowing of scope has had a measurable impact on Bombardier's financial health and its global standing. Since December 2020, the company has reduced its long-term debt by $5.5 billion, an achievement made possible by the laser focus on business aviation. In late 2025, the company announced the repayment of an additional $500 million in senior notes, signaling a successful, if painful, turnaround. However, the international sales outlook is now more sensitive to specific regulatory and trade shifts than ever before. For example, in early 2025, the company elected to defer its financial guidance due to the uncertainty surrounding new executive orders and potential tariffs from the United States. This sensitivity highlights the vulnerability of a company that has all its eggs in one basket. While the business jet market is currently robust, evidenced by Bombardier's $16.6 billion backlog as of late 2025, the lack of industrial diversity means the company must maintain a perfect record of technological execution to survive. In a global context, the international community interpreted Bombardier's narrowing scope as a signal of a broader trend in specialized industrial manufacturing. Markets in Europe and Asia, which once viewed Bombardier as a multi-platform giant, now treat the company as a boutique provider of high-performance assets. The introduction of the Global 8000, certified by Transport Canada in late 2025, represents the peak of this new strategy. With a top speed of Mach 0.95, it is the fastest civil aircraft since the Concorde, designed to reclaim the flagship status that was lost when the commercial programs were divested. This technological lead is essential because Bombardier no longer possesses the sheer industrial volume to compete on price or political influence alone. every international sale of a global or challenger jet is now a testament to engineering superiority rather than a result of broad-based industrial diplomacy. The real-world impact of this shift is most visible in the way Bombardier now approaches sovereign contracts and defense markets. The company has increasingly pivoted towards special mission aircraft, using its business jet platforms for maritime patrol, electronic warfare, and VIP transport. A notable example is the 2025 deal to sell 6 Global 6500 jets to the Canadian federal government to replace the aging Royal Canadian Air Force fleet. This shift into the defense sector is a strategic attempt to diversify revenue within the constraints of a single product line company. It allows Bombardier to tap into stable, long-term government budgets while maintaining the high margins associated with its business jet technology. However, this also places the company in direct competition with entrenched defense giants, requiring a different kind of international sales expertise than the one they utilized during their commercial aviation era. The under-discussed reality of the new Bombardier is that it has successfully traded size for stability. In 2024, the company reached $11.5 billion in revenue, with a significant portion, over $2 billion, coming from its rapidly expanding aftermarket and services business. By focusing on the 5,000 aircraft already in its global fleet, Bombardier has created a recurring revenue stream that is less susceptible to the boom and bust cycles of new aircraft sales. In April 2025, the opening of a 120,000 square foot service facility in Abu Dhabi marked a key milestone in this strategy, ensuring that the company maintains a physical presence in the lucrative Middle Eastern market without needing to manufacture trains or commercial jets. This services-first approach is the bedrock of the company's 2025-2029 economic plan, which forecasts sustained growth even in a more fragmented trade environment. Looking forward, the international sales outlook remains a balance between high-margin performance and geopolitical risk. The 2025 reinstatement of 100% bonus depreciation for business aircraft in the United States, through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, provided a significant tailwind for sales. Yet the company's reliance on the U.S. market, and its vulnerability to U.S. trade policy, remains a central theme. As Bombardier continues to delever its balance sheet, the quiet shift that began in 2017 with the C-Series sale is reaching its logical conclusion. The company is leaner, more profitable, and more technologically advanced than it was a decade ago, but it is also a different entity entirely. It has moved from being a sprawling industrial conglomerate to a precision instrument of the aerospace market. The story of Bombardier is ultimately a lesson in the necessity of strategic retreat. In an era of global giants and state-backed competitors, the middle ground for a medium-sized manufacturer had become untenable. By choosing to exit the commercial and rail sectors, Bombardier avoided the fate of other industrial icons that collapsed under the weight of their own complexity. The reassessment of their international sales outlook is not a story of decline, but one of survival through specialization. The company has proven that it is possible to maintain global relevance by doing one thing better than anyone else, even if it means leaving behind the prestige of being a total transportation provider. As the Global 8000 takes to the skies in 2026, it will carry with it the weight of this new corporate identity, a faster, smaller, and more focused version of the Canadian giant that once tried to move the world. This evolution has changed how trade missions are conducted and how the Canadian government provides diplomatic support for the brand abroad. Where there was once a broad focus on infrastructure, there is now a laser focus on high-value aerospace exports. This shift has also forced a change in the Canadian aerospace supply chain, with Bombardier now accounting for 25% of the country's manufacturing output in that sector. The company's success is no longer tied to the success of regional airlines in Africa or light rail projects in Europe, but to the continued growth of global business travel and the defense needs of its allies. The quiet decision to exit the C-Series program was the catalyst for all of this, a move that was criticized at the time as a surrender but is now seen by many as a masterclass in corporate survival. The final implications for markets and international systems suggest that the era of the national champion conglomerate may be over for smaller economies. Bombardier's trajectory shows that to compete with the likes of Boeing and Airbus, a company must either have the full, unlimited backing of a superpower or the agility to find a niche that the giants cannot easily fill. Bombardier chose the latter. By focusing on the ultra-long-range business jet market, they have occupied a space where technology and luxury intersect, creating a barrier to entry that is difficult for newcomers to overcome. The international sales outlook for the next decade will be defined by how well they can defend this territory while navigating the new normal of global trade tariffs and environmental regulations. The company's path toward a 25% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2025 through projects like the EcoJet is part of this defensive strategy. In a world where private aviation is under increasing scrutiny, being the most efficient provider is a requirement for market access, not just a marketing point. As we look at the trajectory from the debt-laden days of 2015 to the streamlined profitability of 2025, the quiet shift is complete. Bombardier has redefined what it means to be a global player by proving that market access is not just about where you sell, but what you choose to stop selling. This is the new reality of the aerospace industry, where the fastest way forward is often found by letting go of the past.